Welcome back to Bad to the Stone. Today, Pebbles gets a bit of a facelift. We're going to work on, what are we going to put on back here?
Forged carbon fiber fender flares.
Yes, the ones from Advanced Fiberglass Concepts. Got them for the back and the front. And we have the matching forged carbon fiber hood to go with that. The hood is off getting painted right now. So trying to figure out, I ended up hauling it there in a trailer. I think we may just pull the hood off of this one and then just drive this over there and bolt the new hood on in place.
Well, that's a great idea. I think that's best.
Simpler than renting a trailer again. The Bronco is here now. The hood and fenders actually showed up a couple of weeks ago before I took them to the painters. We're going to jump in and show you the unboxing, how these things showed up, and then we'll come back and start bolting them on.
Sounds good.
You ready to drill holes in carbon fiber?
Sure.
I think you look ready.
All right.
So the hood install is pretty simple. It's just like 4 nuts, couple bolts on the latch. But the front and rear fender flares, you do have to drill them. They do come pre-marked, more or less.
Oh, nice.
But we're going to take a look at what that feels like and get in there. I think we're just going to mark them with a paint pen, drill some 1/4-inch holes. I'll tell you what hardware we've got when we get to that part, but we'll kind of get a sense of how long it takes to really put these 4 fender flares on.
It's going to make a big difference in how it looks.
Definitely going to give her a facelift and make her ours for sure.
Sounds good.
Let's turn this thing around and let's show you what unboxing looked like, and then we'll come back in here and start marking them out and bolting some on.
All right, let's go.
Well, we're going to spend a lot of time in this video with these parts as we get them prepped on the vehicle, figure out what they look like, but right now, quick unboxing. These just showed up off the truck. You can see I've got a little bit of box damage from the delivery, so I just want to get in here, open them up, get a good look at them, make sure there isn't any hidden damage in there that I need to report. And I'm also just pretty darn excited to get a look at what these parts look like. So this one is the forged fender flares. I've seen them, a couple of pictures online of what they look like, but I really couldn't find a video out there detailing installing these. Let's dig into this box and really get a good look at what these things look like. Okay, so far packaged pretty well. Okay, that is looking pretty awesome. Definitely nice, all rolled over on this side so there's not a sharp edge. Finished all the way around there. On the back side, looks like pretty well marked out on where we're gonna need to drill. I've also got a right hand, so they're marked right and left. Give you all a close-up on what this looks like on here. Turn and try to get some good light on this for you. But I think that is looking pretty spectacular. I think that is gonna be a seriously nice upgrade from the stock ones that are on there. Again, good, clearly marked out holes on here where we're gonna need to drill, get those mounted. And from what I'm looking at, I'm not seeing any damage from the shipping. Let's go ahead and take a look at the other 3 of these, and then we'll get that hood out of the package. Now I've got all these staples sticking up, so I'm gonna be careful where I set these down. Put them on the box over here right now, keep them out of the way, get a good look at all 4 of them, and then we'll get that hood opened up. Number 2, again, looks good. Now I know those plastic ones that come on the Bronco are pretty lightweight from what I understand. So these definitely have some substance, some rigidity to them. No doubt about that. One seems to be in good shape. Finish on these is looking pretty amazing. Let's get that last one out. And there they are, number 4. I would say it looks like they survived the trip. I can see just a couple, I can more feel it. Couple little marks in there. I would say that's about the roughest feeling spot on the whole thing so far. Little buff line right there. Initial take on the quality on these is pretty high. I don't even have the plastic ones here to compare them to because my Bronco isn't even here yet. So I can't even look at the plastic ones to tell you, but I can say that these are rigid. Got no flex, no movement in these things. All right, let's get a close up on these. We'll take a look at that hood. All right, well here it is, a first good close-up look at these Advanced Fiberglass Concepts forged carbon fender flares for that new Bronco. and really look at that forged carbon detail in there. You don't feel any of those little marks in there. That's just some of the color variation inside the epoxy, the resin. Again, nice rolled over edge. Feels pretty awesome. You can see the reflection, the finish on there, nice high gloss. And if you want to see what those are looking like on the backside, you can see what that fiberglass finish looks like inside there. And get a look at, see those mounting holes where we're gonna drill. Once we get a look at the plastic ones, we'll get these finished up and on the vehicle. So stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and take a look inside this other box, take a look at this forged carbon hood. All right, let's get in here and get a look at this hood. Same thing, got a little bit of damage to the box on delivery here. Wanna make sure don't have any damage inside. Okay, well, it is upside down. All right, fairly well packaged. Nice lip all around it. Okay, and they leave it masked off from where they painted it. I had this one done in the black gel coat instead of white. All right, they mentioned whatever color you're gonna do it, you wanna make sure you're prepping it. All right, let's check out these corners. Looks good. These edges look good. All right, now they say that it needs some prep before it's ready to paint. So feeling it, yeah, I mean, I can see it's smoother in places, a little sanding on there. As I mentioned, I got this done in the black gel coat instead of the standard white. My plan is to finish it in flat black. Check out this other corner, looks good. The edge looks good. Looking at this bottom side, I'll get a little video shot of this here with my phone. So here's the back side of that hood. Again, all molded in black. I'm still gonna spray the bottom. I'm just gonna spray it in flat black, but it should be pretty easy to prime and prep. Definitely way smoother here on the bottom side. You can see where that fresh air intake is gonna be there for that ram air. Would definitely look better than the white if I just slapped it on the vehicle right now, but we're gonna get this thing painted in flat black and kind of match the hood on that Hellcat over there. All right, we're gonna sneak a peek at this forged carbon fiber underneath. There it is. Very nice. I'm sure they're gonna have to re-tape it when they paint it. So pretty much where the tape is where the forged carbon fiber underneath. A little bit more subtle as it transitions from flat black to that, but even after it gets painted, that's pretty much the look I am going for right there. Just right now, this gel coat, you know, got a little bit of a roughness to it, but I don't really see a lot of pinholes or a lot of other fill that's gonna need to take place. Pretty much just looks like it needs to get a little bit of sanding, smooth it out, even up the texture, get some primer on there. I think that is looking pretty amazing. I was gonna do some of the prep work on my own on this before it got painted. I think I'm gonna take it to the body shop just exactly as is and see what kind of prep they think it needs. Well, there we go. There's our first look at these parts. Next time you see this hood, it should be painted, prepped in its flat black. And next time you see those fender flares, we should have a Bronco ready to assemble and put those on. Stay tuned. Should be a good. All right, that hood is just a little bit big to fit in the back of the truck, so went and grabbed this trailer from Home Depot and it is off to the paint shop. All right, here's the before. Got everything off. It is at the body shop. So, you know, definitely some little rough spots on the front edge. You know, got a couple little spots on the back edge that are gonna get filled, but we'll see what it looks like when it all gets done. All right, well, we worked on day one mods. We didn't get to carbon fenders yet, but we're still gonna do that. But tomorrow, we're gonna go pick up the hood. The hood is at the paint shop. It's ready for pickup. The goal is drive over there and just bolt the new hood on in place, which means we're just gonna pop this one off here and we're just gonna drive across town with no hood on and then bolt the hood on at the body shop. We're just gonna pull this off. The parts we need are this hood latch. I believe there's different hardware on the hood. So I think we're gonna use the bolts that are on there, but I do need just the latch itself. Then we should just be, so those were 10 millimeters up front. Now this hood is aluminum, so it shouldn't weigh too much. Once we unbolt this, you and I are just gonna lift this off.
Okay.
So, yep, okay, now Now just really hold because we're still connected at the front. So I probably should have been on that side. Can you hold it in the middle?
I'm not holding hardly anything. It's very high.
Kind of got ourselves in a bit of a pickle because we have to undo that latch. Let's go ahead and come. No, we can't come towards me. Okay. I've got the hood really steady. Can you walk up to it and can you hold the middle of the hood with one hand? And then you're gonna have to lift, like up and wiggle that rod around and get it loose.
Why can't I come to your side?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I gotta stabilize it.
Yeah, you do. Okay. You got good lift, both hands? Gotta come towards me a little. No, okay. 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 We're going to the front of the car. Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, not our finest work right there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so obviously with the hood, maybe at some point when the bolts are not quite loose, just go ahead and take that hood latch off. Thankfully, I mean, the hood probably only weighs 15, 20 pounds. It is super light, but you know, having it precariously balanced on the lift rod, probably not the best plan.
We made it work.
Live and learn. We saved it. Hood survived.
Yep.
All right, we'll go drive hoodless to go pick up our other one tomorrow. Excited to see what that one looks like on there. And then we'll get the fenders on. See you in a bit. All right, we are ready to tackle these forged carbon fiber flare installs. Now, these plastic fenders are quick release. Just got some clips in here to adjust to get these off, but we're gonna use bolts to attach the carbon fiber ones, so we are gonna have to take out a bunch of screws to drop that inner felt fender liner down to be able to get those on. But those other fenders, they weigh a little bit more, and quite honestly, they're a little bit more expensive, so even though quick release is nice for the trail, I definitely wanna bolt on those forged carbon fiber ones to make sure somebody doesn't walk by and quick release them into their own for their own Bronco. So that will make it a little tougher for the install, having to undo some clips and move them, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run.
How many quick releases do they have?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's some other little like clips, like I think once it pops out, I guess they move up a little bit. I don't know. All right, and they definitely, you don't go 90 degrees with them. It seems like all the way worked better. Aha, okay. So it's a mix of the quick release clips and some pushed in ones. And that's it. So you do need to move these all the way, not to kind of 90 degrees. I guess there's a bit of a notch. And then there's the push in ones, but there we go, that's off. So yeah, we'll have to pull out a bunch of screws to get in behind there to mark our fenders, and then also to be able to get the bolts on the back of those. So let's grab a screwdriver. All right, so these are those little plastic body panel clips. Unscrew the center section out, and then these just pull out. So they are just all plastic, but they pop out there very, very nicely. All right, there's also 7mm screws going in from the inside out. It seems to be grabbing into something in that fender liner as well. So it kind of goes over top of some lips in here. Okay, I think that's gonna give us what we need. I've got enough flexibility now to move these. I can get around to figure out which of these holes I'm going into, and I'll be able to get my marking pen on the back, make sure we can mark these. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some Windex and just clean that a little bit. Now, I don't know that it matters what holes I bolt into or don't bolt into. Let's just see what we got here. Okay, so we got big square holes are for the twisties. Alignment holes, these large pins, and then small holes for the push-ins. I think we're just gonna go with, because I want to get out there onto the ends, although can maybe get down there on that far end. I think we're gonna bolt there. Now let's use our bigger ones. Let's bolt there, 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 and there. I think that spaces us out pretty well. It gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. A little bit more on each of the ends. I think 8 bolts per fender flare is plenty. So now we know which holes we need to mark and where we're gonna drill on the back side of that fender. There it is.
That makes a big difference, doesn't it?
That is looking pretty awesome. All right, it seems good. Okay, we can get that right where it just lines up nicely there at the front. And then, yeah, finishes right at that body line back there. All right, so it's all marked here on the backside. It's just a matter of, I mean, how close are all those marks? Those holes are pretty big. So I think we'll try and hold it up there and mark it a little bit with our paint pen. We'll just mostly mark the holes, see how they're lining up, and then we'll go. Well, here's where doing something for the first time without any guidance gets a little bit interesting. We tried using the paint pen from the back to mark out these holes just to verify where they were, and not enough room to get that marker in behind there. So that wasn't going to work. Because the holes that I chose, a couple of them were what I would call the guide pins. They just weren't lining up, so I was a little concerned that everything wasn't going to line up. It turns out that the quick release pins that are molded in the back of these fenders and what I would call the snap-in pins, those are molded pretty darn close, but it's only those guide pins that are a little bit off. But regardless, thought they were a little bit off, wanted to go ahead and check it, tried putting some paper up there, thought maybe the paper transfer method would work, so taped a big chunk in place, marked all the holes out on the paper. By the time I moved that back over to the fender flare, that was pretty loose and lots of flex to it. Didn't think that was going to line up very well. So what ended up working for us the best was to put some of the masking tape on the body of the Bronco around where the holes were, take a Sharpie and put a Sharpie mark on that to line up to the center of the holes that we chose to use, and then hold the fender up in place, lined up on the edges, and then put some masking tape on that outside edge of the fender and put a red Sharpie mark on that, transfer from the other one that was on the body to get the center of the hole. Once you've got the center of the hole around the diameter, then it's pretty easy to measure down from the edge to get to the center of the hole. For the most part, the quick release and the guide pins are pretty much one depth in from the edge. The push-in pins, the smaller holes, they're a little bit of a different depth, but again, pretty easy to measure down from the edge. So this is what we found worked the best for us, and it's what we continued to do for all four of the fenders. As it turns out, the molded in marks are pretty darn close as long as you pick in the right holes, but this was just a nice way to double check it, gave us the confidence before we started drilling on these. So let's jump back into this here and take a look at drilling out this first one and getting it bolted up in place. All right, I think we are ready to drill these or finish marking these off and drill them. I'm gonna go ahead and tape on the backside just to try to keep anything from splintering out as we break through back there. Not really sure how this stuff drills. Find out here in a minute. Now I got a couple holes where I'm using the smaller holes. Those are not quite as far in, so they're a little bit different. So I need to make sure I marked those on here. All right, so just had to double check. So the small holes are like the little kind of pop-in clips. So I've got a small hole there and there. They're not quite in as far. They don't go down as far. They're a little closer to the top. So I'm gonna mark everything else, and then we'll go back and change the depth on this and mark those other 3 holes. All right, so it's gonna go. That's gonna change. And once I pull the tape off, we'll be able to see exactly where those are relative to the existing marks on here. All right, and that one we're changing the depth. So I got 1, 2, 3 left. All right, I'm using 1/4-inch fender bolts, or 1/4-inch bolts, fender washers. We're gonna drill them 3/8, make sure we've got enough clearance.
Almost hit the interior of that.
Okay. Definitely a little grippy on the breakthrough. I'm definitely going through every time, aren't I? All right, now the instruction doesn't specify which holes to use, but just to give you a look at where we ended up, a little bit off there. That hole doesn't really line up with anything. This one, we're off. We're in a different notch there, so we are in a mark there, but not the one beside it. This one is kind of out here in the middle of nowhere. This one, it's kind of off on the edge of that hole. This one a little bit more off to the edge. That one's out in the middle of nowhere. And then this one's kind of off to the edge. So a little bit different, but let's see how these line up. All right, I guess now's the moment of truth. All right, so we're gonna use some fender washers. I got all stainless hardware. I'm gonna go with the 1-inch bolt just seems a little short. I guess after I tighten the first one, if I can go to a 1-inch, I will, but I've got 1 1/4 with 1-inch fender washers, stainless fender washer, and then rubber. So we're gonna put rubber on both sides, metal on both sides, and then a nylock locking nut is what we're gonna go to put these all together. Let's go ahead and see how our holes did.
There you go.
There's a box of hardware. Okay, you want to bring that over? All right. Okay, well, so far, the holes we drilled are lining up. A little snug working in behind those fender liners. Got most everything in, and we're getting good alignment. Okay, I think that's good fitment right there. Because this hole is so close to this inner edge, I'll get a shot here with the other camera and let you see that. I'm just gonna have to put just a regular washer on the inside of there. I'm not gonna be able to get a fender washer, still be able to get a rubber fender washer on the back side. But with just a 1/4-inch bolt, just put a 1/4-inch washer on there. That's still gonna be plenty of room to grab on that 3/8 hole. And we've got plenty of other ones, so that's really just keeping that end. Not gonna be too worried about that.
Oh, looks amazing.
So our alignment there on the front, I think that's about perfect. It just comes right off of that body line. Nice fill in there. We'll tighten that gap up a little bit as we move around, but I mean, it's just right in there following that body line. And it comes around and it just ends right on the top of that body line there. But you can see on this inside hole, just need to put the smaller washer there. Not gonna be able to get that large fender washer in there on that last one. Otherwise, fit is good. Come up with a way to mark your holes though, because you can see we were a little bit off on the original alignment. All right, there it is all together. You can see that one down in the corner, I've got a smaller washer on. Got the larger washers on all these others. And I think that's pretty good spacing all around in there. And like I say, the lineup, the fit, I think follows that body line really nicely. So definitely perfect fit in there. And where we finish up down here, it just, again, looks like it's right there. Goes into the other body line like it's supposed to. So pretty sharp looking, quite a change from those plastic ones. I think now that we've got a process, the other 3 are gonna go a lot quicker, and obviously it'll look nicer once we get that hood in there instead of a big empty hole. But transformation is coming right along. I think that looks awesome. So just watch on the hole alignment, but otherwise, these things are a pretty easy do-it-yourself project, I think. Not too bad at all. Get the rest of the hardware on the inside of that felt, and we'll be ready to move on to the other 3. I feel like we got a bit of a process this time, so it should go a little bit quicker. Only gonna do 7 holes this time. Still wanna have a couple up front, but we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The only small hole we're going to use is just this one around here on the end. Just want to make sure we got something down there closer to the end, and I think that'll be good. All right, this one's got a definite bump on the back here. I think we're probably gonna have to go grind that off. Let me just see. This one. And actually, nope, not actually holding it out there. So we'll be able to leave that in place. It's fitting totally inside of that hole, I think, so it's not gonna be a problem. So we'll be all right with that. Well, not so good. You okay? Just holding it there helps. Ooh. I was thin there, I think. I think somehow it got cross-threaded or something on there. I don't know. Starting to think maybe socket head wasn't the way to go with these bolts. Maybe I should have just done regular bolts, because wow, get one stuck. It's awfully hard to get in there to get it apart. All right, well, I think if I hadn't cross-threaded the bolt, that would have gone pretty smooth. As it was, that was pretty messy. Here. Good shot at that one, 2, 3, and instead. Let's do that instead. That was 5. All right, you want to go mark those 5 on the other side? So anyway, the big, all the rectangles, and then the square at the very end. All right, so for these ones, need a little more tape down there, looks like. All right, so we're gonna go basically in 1 inch and 10-30 seconds on the first 2 holes, and then 24-30 seconds on the other 3 going around for these rears. And we're going 24, 30 seconds for the rest. Spot on. Spot on, spot on, spot on. And that one we found a different spot. Otherwise it would have been there. So yeah, these ones are marked out really nice. I'd say that came out really, really good. I didn't check any of these other holes. So these ones looking good. All right, on this one, pretty much every single one, I'm coming in right on the front edge of that hole instead of in the center. I guess we'll find out if that's my layout or what. We'll see if that just has a little bit of a turn to it. But anyway, it's still right on the spot. Depth-wise, good. Like I say, I'm just shifted over a little bit. So we'll see where that one ends up. All right, let's see how we did on this rear. Getting all these holes to line up. All right, just need you to hold that end up there, kind of.
This one?
Yep. Alrighty, I can get the other 3 tightened. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Well, there's 2 on in the hood, or 3 on. You can put 2 down in a row.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, and the other one's drilled, so tomorrow all we gotta do is bolt it on, no getting anything out, so it should go pretty quick. Well, there it is. That one is successfully on there. 5 bolts went pretty smooth. I'll get a shot of the underneath here with the other camera, get a better camera angle, and get you a shot of how it fits in that body contour. Looks pretty amazing. I mean, it definitely drops right in there and matches up really nice. Very even on both ends from a length perspective and fits in that curve beautifully. So we'll get you a better shot of that. But right now, let me drop in the rest of these push pins, and then we are ready to get that last one on and just about ready to wrap up this video.
Hey, bud, do you need a bumper?
It's not a bumper, a fender.
Hey, bud, do you need a fender?
Let's give me a fender. You ready to get this last fender on Pebbles?
I sure am.
Are you? All right.
Knock it out.
Let's knock it out. There we go. You got it?
Yep.
Feels like there's something kind of in behind on the backside of the fender. Is a little bit in the way, so. Can you go in the toolbox, the top, very top right-hand drawer, pull it open, there should be like a mirror, about a 2-inch mirror on a stick in there. Well, after like 21 holes of drilling and lining up, it's lined up in the square where we needed it, but there's a piece of metal around the backside of that square, so I just need to shift it about half a hole in order to be able to get the nut on. I need to just adjust that one slightly.
So it means you have to take it all off?
Well, I'm trying to decide. I've only got... Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do is let's take it off. Probably almost do it with it in there, but it's only 2 bolts. Why fight it? Okay, there you go. You got it?
Yes.
All right, so on the back side of this hole, there's a metal tab just right off of this corner, so I just need to bring it down a little bit in this one and kind of get further to the other corner. So we'll just slot that one hole a little bit, and just slotted that one a little bit further down so we'll be able to get that nut on there clean. Well, there they are, all 4 of them installed. Only had to re-drill, slot out 1 hole.
Good job, honey.
Done deal. So we'll get a couple of glamour shots once the sun comes out. Not that it's not warm enough, but we'll make sure we get a couple good pictures outside. And I think we're ready to wrap up this install video.
Yes.
Pebbles got her new face on, got her new fenders on.
This looks pretty sharp.
Looking pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
These things look awesome.
They do. I like the way the hood matches. So, yeah.
Good job, honey. Good teamwork.
Good teamwork, yeah.
And it's a nice humid day here in Texas as we're out here sweating in the garage, which is what you're supposed to do. All right, we'll get you some pretty pictures. I'll get a little shot of what it looks like mounted up underneath there, and then we'll close this out.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks.
All right, try to get some good video of how this hood all fit in here. What we end up with for spaces. How that looks up this side. Really happy with how that fit goes in there.
Makes a big difference on how Pebbles looks.
Absolutely. And then those fenders, can really get a sense of how those fit in there. Right up into that body line. Where they end up down below. Good shot of how the hardware is up in there. Same thing on these rears. Just tucks perfectly up into that body line. Right down around the back. Lots of room to get your hardware up in the backside. Really, really happy with the fit on these. Well, YouTube, that's a wrap on this video as we gave Pebbles a little facelift here with these advanced fiberglass concepts, forged carbon ram air hood, and these forged carbon fender flares. What do you think?
I think it turned out really well. The look, it has changed this Bronco to perfection to me. It really has enhanced it.
Pretty impressive transformation, I gotta say. So definitely feel like it's ours, custom, not what everybody else is gonna see on the road. And as for the install, couldn't be happier. I mean, the fit, finish, you guys saw the close-up videos on that, the trim lines, the body lines, everything looks amazing. I did follow up with ADV. I know as we were drilling the holes, I think it's, you know, the molded in points where it's either the quick release clips on the original fenders or the push in clips on the original fenders. I think all those lined up exactly where they needed to be. The only ones that were a little off were the, I guess I would call them the alignment pins. There looks like there's a molded in spot for those on the ADV fenders, but those didn't match up. But I don't know that those were really supposed to be there. We chose to use some of those holes, so really just kind of an us thing. But yeah, if you look at the molded in body holes, I think they're pretty good.
It worked very well together, and you just had one slight modification, and out of that many holes that you drilled, good job.
Yeah, we re-drilled one hole again, and that was using like a square slot in there that it wasn't any part of the original body fender lines. Just seemed like it was a good place for me for the spacing. And definitely the hardware. I think in my video I mentioned that I was using either 1 inch or 1 1/4 inch hardware. It was actually 3/4 inch bolts were the ones that are too short. 1 inch bolts, 1 inch hardware is what we ended up using all around. The 3/4 inch just not getting a full bite all the way through the back of that nylock nut. So I would definitely go with that 1 inch stainless hardware. And you know, we cross threaded the one bolt in there and had to grind that off. So you know, I used the socket head, the nice looking screws. I thought that'd be a nicer finish. You know, these are gonna get full of mud and dirt. I may go with just a regular hex head on there so that if you ever do get something stuck, it'd be a little easier to get off than those Allen, you know, hex head bolts. Probably go with 1 inch hardware, and I'd probably recommend a regular bolt head instead of that Allen head, hex head kind of socket in there. But other than that, I think we're done.
It was a nice project. Huge results, right?
Yeah, huge results.
Yeah.
Definitely, I don't think this is too much for most anybody to tackle. You got to get in there and drill some holes. We showed you a method to lay it out with some tape if you want to double check the ones that are on there, and I think it's manageable. We had fun. As always, we appreciate you watching. Hit that subscribe button. You'll know when the next video comes out, and we would love to see you. Until then, we hope you're out there with your own Bronco, keeping it bad to the stone. We'll be here working with Pebbles, working on whatever mod we have coming up next.
All right.
All right. We'll see y'all soon. Take care.